Hello and welcome to Redmen Radio, the Liverpool podcast. I am Paul Mach and I'm joined by Chris Pajak.
Hello.
The award-winning...
Chris Pajak, thank you.
Chris Pajak.
No one's ever said it like that before. I don't like that.
Award-winning Chris Pajak.
I'm the award-winning Paul Mach.
Yeah, absolutely. The two-time Northwest Football Awards Fan TV Channel of the Year.
I'm straight.
I mean, I'm not saying the competition was fierce.
It was though, wasn't it?
It ended up being more fierce than it should have been, is all I'll say. Sly on.
Everyone else.
Ross, you actually worked very hard to get us that award, but almost not hard enough. But, it doesn't matter. We're over the line. It's very much like Liverpool's season. I'm complaining because we didn't absolutely wipe the
You
floor.
don't know when the next fan vote is, Paul, and you don't want to got everybody to vote this, and I'm not doing it again, lads.
Liverpool pretty much cleaned up as well last night. They won an award for the Salah jumping out of the picture of Salah thing.
Joey stuff, yeah.
Yeah, they won. Trent Alexander-Arnold won Rising Star. Mo Salah won Player of the Season, and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain won Goal of the Year as well. And then we won Fan TV Channel of the Year. So brilliant. Massive round of applause to yourselves at home for voting. If you didn't vote, fuck you. Anyway, kick-off question this week comes from Andrew JB, who's one of our subscribers on the redmentv.com. If you could pick 3 players from our squad who you would grant international break immunity to, who would they be?
Mane.
Okay.
From what you were saying yesterday, we just don't have another left winger in the squad.
Yeah.
It's not ideal having like Lallana and Firmino out there, is it really? So I think I'd grant him it. Van Dijk, just because he improves the defence so much. If you pick up an injury or something, it's pretty obvious why you're going to pick Van Dijk. And then I was torn between being a bit of a tit and picking Andy Robertson because I don't want Moreno in the starting 11.
Right.
Or Bobby Firmino for everything that he does.
Yeah.
And I've decided to go with Bobby Firmino because Moreno isn't actually that bad.
Bobby Firmino is, for me, my number one pick because he just needs to stop. I think I've heard that they're playing the international friendlies locally. I think they're all in the UK or Europe this time around, so it's not as much of a big deal. But I'd be arsed with Bobby Firmino travelling thousands and thousands of miles, playing football, and then having to come back and play all the football for us. So he would be nailed on. I would be prepared to triple down on him just to make sure that he was fine. But that's boring, so I won't. Joe Gomez, I've gone for because I think we can you don't want Van Dijk getting out a long-term injury. You don't want anyone getting a long-term injury. But in terms of the development of his career, he's had so many, and he is the one. I've gone into every international break so far this season expecting Joe Gomez to get injured because that's what happens to promising English lads in our team, particularly ones who've had injury problems in the past. You just know it. It's written in the stars, isn't it? Because England are just a bad gang of dickheads. So no, I would give it to Gomez, and then the Mane argument. It's kind of along those lines. I wouldn't mind it being Sadio Mane. I wouldn't mind it being Salah, but Naby Keita similarly because he's another one who got injured the last time. He needs a solid run of games for us, and he's another one where you have those moments, don't you, in a career where you might not take off because you just get an injury at the wrong time, and then you never find your form, and then everyone goes, well, you need a proper pre-season, and then if something happens in pre-season, it's then that right of it, and so on and so forth. So I think he's a wonderful talent, and I want to see him play for us, and it would be so annoying having just got him back
to lose him again.
To lose him again without even seeing anything like the best of him. Let us know your 3 players who you would grant international break immunity to in the comments, or tweet us at the Redmen TV as well. News in brief then. We're going to be coming on to talk about Fulham, Xherdan Shaqiri, and for addressing, I guess, the elephant in the room, but not really, in Zeljko Buvac a little bit later on. But Joe Cole has retired from football, Chris.
Is this recent news?
Literally, as a time of hot off the press.
Okay.
A time of typing. I've put shrug because from a Liverpool perspective, I'm fully not arsed. I don't hold him in fond regards at all. But it is mad when you consider he's around that era. And he's of the Gerrard era, he's of the Lampard era, he's of the Terry era. He was of the golden generation.
He's outlasted them all.
Yes. Yes, he has. But it's funny, isn't it, how he had the world at his feet 10 years ago, and everyone was tipping him to be something, you know what I mean, one of the best players in the world, maybe slightly 12 years ago, say. And, you know, his career just, once he left Chelsea and came to us, he never peaked again as a footballer.
No, but I mean, we were talking about it before, was he 30 when he came to us? He wasn't going to peak at 30, was he?
Yeah.
You know, he's one of those lads who had injury problems, and not like out for a year at a time, but he was always one of those lads who would consistently pick up injuries and stuff, and he knew where the goal was, and he was probably more talented than his career never really hit the heights, I think, isn't it? You know, as a Liverpool player, was it his first game? Did he get sent off against Arsenal or something for us?
Which summed up his Liverpool career, and in fact Roy Hodgson's reign absolutely perfectly. And I always wonder about that game, and if he hadn't got sent off, if we'd gone on and won that, what Liverpool would have, you know, it might have taken us another 6 months to get rid of Roy Hodgson, and then the knock-on effect and blah blah blah. It's funny how that happens, but he was a phenomenally talented footballer, but it was interesting. I remember the stories about him under Mourinho at Chelsea, and Mourinho just fucking hated him because he was too thick to understand what he wanted him to do. So he had to be on him, he had to ride him to get the performances he needed out of him, and after a while he just got bored. And I remember when we, you know, it's worth remembering that was a big signing when we got him at the time. There was a lot of fanfare around Liverpool getting him on a Bosman, because he was a big name and he was a big talent, but he never, I think you're right, I don't think he ever had he was never the full package.
He was playing under the wrong manager as well, I think. You know, although he did well at Chelsea on that Mourinho side, I remember those stories as well, actually. But for me, it was always, he was a maverick on the pitch. He was that, like, X factor. And Mourinho didn't really want that, and has never really wanted that. He wants people to do and enact his plan to the letter almost. So it was never a good fit for him. Had he had somebody who maybe trusted him to do a little bit less of the defensive work and flourish further down the pitch, he might have gone on and had a better career. Listen, he was one of the most talented footballers I think England's produced in the last 20 years.
It's that thing where, to be the full package, he had all the technical attributes, but that game intelligence thing makes a massive difference, because you're right, he was a bit of an enigma, which is why Mourinho doesn't, as you say, doesn't fit in with Mourinho. But you can, like, world-class players are enigmas. The world-class talents in the final third are enigmas to some degree, but he was one of them where, like Balotelli to some extent does a bit of this, where he just does stuff, and like when you're on form and you're flying and things are going in the top bin and it's all coming off, you look absolutely incredible. But the genuinely brilliant players, when that stops working, go about doing the fundamentals better than everyone else as well. And I remember it was the World Cup 2006, I think, and he scored that wonder goal against Sweden where he blammed it into the top bin, and that should have been like here's what I'm capable of. Now I'm going to go on and be the best player in the team, in the tournament or whatever. But because he'd done that, he felt that was in his locker all of a sudden, and he spent the rest of the tournament and the rest of his career trying to recreate that goal. So yeah, I mean, a shame. I remember having very, very, you know, being a teenager and seeing him come through the ranks and at West Ham, and he was such an exciting young player. And I mean, we wish Joe Cole all the best, and no ill feelings towards him, because Liverpool have gone on and been all right, really, haven't we? Although he had the Jinx song, if you recall, the Harry Kewell, Danny Ings, Joe Cole all had the same song. You know, it was Harry Kewell, Joe Cole. It's the fucking worst, the absolute worst. If you want to guarantee that the player's not going to take off at Liverpool, give them that song. Liverpool hired Man City's fitness coach, Chris.
Go ahead.
After 11 years at the club.
Reds.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice that, isn't it? So does that mean that we're now, you know, Oxlade Chamberlain is coming back in a couple of weeks or something like that? Because that's what they seem to do all the bloody time, isn't it? Like,
yeah, absolutely. Fine. I mean, it's you were telling me about this. He'd been there since the Sven-Göran Eriksson days. I don't see this as the coup of, like, this is not like a guy that Pep's brought over with him, and and it's been part of this Pep revolution that we're having off. So I don't feel like this is some major thing that Liverpool have done per se. But the good thing is that if you look at your nearest rivals, you can't go nick any players off them And you're not going to get, and it'd be difficult to get coaching staff because there's probably like garden leave and all that kind of stuff that you've got to go through. You know, like you won't be allowed to jump ship straight over.
Also Arteta.
Also, oh yeah. Whereas this, you're getting someone who's actually, you know, he's been there, he's been on the ins and outs. He knows Man City's squads and players and all their weaknesses inside and out. You're a big fan of marginal gains. I really like this as that idea.
Oh, mate, he's spending the next time we play Manchester City, he's having a little word in James Milner's ear and saying dodgy ankle. And James Milner goes bang,
and he goes, I know I have. How's it doing, James?
But no, that's right, isn't it? You talk marginal gains there, and that's exactly what you want. You want to know your opponent's weaknesses, and you know you want to know their techniques as well, and how they recover and stuff like that. Their facilities are absolutely one of the best facilities in the world, Manchester City. And if you can revolutionise ours and bring ours up to the same spec, because I'm sure ours are very bloody good as well, but I don't think they're held in quite as high regard. He'll probably look at that, and he's probably looking at the new training ground complex and all that, and he might actually help to shape that side of things as well. So for the next couple of years, we might see a really big improvement, especially when we get into that training ground.
It is interesting that, you know, again, the backroom staff has gone under a lot of change. It will come on to the Buvac stuff a bit later on, of course, like, but it is that, you know, people think of Klopp as having this inner circle, but it's been in flux. We've rotated. We have brought new people in. You know, we talk about the new goalkeeper coaches coming, bringing someone else in terms of the physio department. I think it's great. It shows that Liverpool are moving forward.
Also, you know, there's been again a few little hamstring injuries over the course of this season already. You know, we saw it at the start of last season as well. It can be proactive, this stuff as well. It doesn't have to be reactive, does it? So he might be able to do something about that to make sure that we're not picking up as many injuries in the first place.
Well, yeah, you know, again, no one looked at Man City last year and said that their fitness fell off a cliff. And again, if there's anything you can learn from that and how they were doing, and maybe there are just some little sneaky tips and secrets that he's picked up, maybe even from people that Pep might have brought in, then yeah, interesting stuff. Daniel Sturridge, we have to be careful with this, but Daniel Sturridge has denied a misconduct charge over alleged breach of betting rules. We were driving to Manchester for the awards last night, and this kind of broke Chris. So there actually isn't too much more on it. He had until 6 p.m. today to basically reply. He's denied.
Or if you believe the Metro on the bus, the 20th of January.
What?
That's what it said in the Metro on the bus.
What did it say?
He's got till the 20th of January to reply, that's the only place I've seen it, that said.
That's weird.
Yeah, it was 20th everywhere else, wasn't it? I saw 20th of November on Twitter last night, 20th of January in the Metro, and you've just said today. Yeah. So I've got no idea actually when it is, because 3 different sources.
Yeah, 6 p.m. today, I think it is. Or is it Tuesday? You know, saying that, it said 6 p.m. Tuesday, so it might be next Tuesday. Who knows? Is the next Tuesday? Yeah. There you go. Maybe it's that. Again, apparently it relates to an instance when he was on loan at West Brom. He's denied betting on football matches. The problem with this stuff, Chris, we don't know what's true and what's not true, and it's best to believe the best in him, I guess. Like, but if he gets done for that, that could be like. You could be looking at a lengthy ban for that if he is actually betting on football matches.
Yeah, I think did Joey Barton get 18 months or something, and then he got reduced down to 6, was it, or something like that? At this stage of his career, you know, that could really hurt his chances of getting back into this Liverpool side. We already know that he's on the fringes, but you just got to kind of wait and see on this one. I think if there is some kind of a ban, then Klopp probably moves in January.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because
we've not seen anything of Solanke. Origi's gone ahead of him in the pecking order, and I don't really think Klopp rates Origi that highly. No,
it's a real just a blow, and you know, just look from a pure selfish Liverpool fan perspective, which is what we do, what we are. It would be so annoying to be in a world where we've actually got a very good, very talented, very capable striking understudy there in Daniel Sturridge, and for that to blow up and cost us, is that right? Because, you know, I can justify the decision to loan out Danny Ings, but if you're now left with Divock Origi, who God knows, don't get me wrong,
Danny Ings is better than Solanke and Origi.
Yeah, well, Danny Ings has scored probably 5 goals this season already. Like, you know, he's he's a very good player. We just don't know with Solanke, and as you say, the fact that he's not been cited, and Origi we have, albeit as a bit of a Hail Mary last throw of the dice in Belgrade, in which he was fine, by the way, but he you wouldn't be, it would strip my confidence to know that we didn't have someone of Daniel Sturridge's calibre available to us. Well, that's the major annoyance.
Yeah, let's hope that he wasn't. Let's hope that he wasn't doing it, basically, and that he's telling the truth, and let's hope that he's back in the side sooner rather than later.
Yeah, hopefully we'll know more about that. If there's more later on in the week, it will be covered by Steve on the Reds News Roundup show. There's a few bits and pieces of transfer news floating around, which we won't get into. We didn't have time to research, but yeah, Thursday this week, that's going to go on the redmentv.com. All this kind of stuff in more depth and detail. Chris, we've done a lot on Fulham this week. I just want to kind of put a bit of a bow on it. It was an unusual early afternoon game. We talked about this at the time. I didn't walk out, overly enamoured with the performance. I don't think Liverpool were particularly great on the day. I think they were much better second half. And in fact, if Liverpool, that second half performance is the kind of performance that we should be our new stock level, I think. Totally dominant, shutting out the opposition, not letting them cause any problems whatsoever, and grinding out wins. That should be, I don't want to see Liverpool slip below this level.
Yeah, Liverpool were good second half against Fulham, and I think if I remember correctly, they had 6 shots in the first half, 8 shots maybe in the first half, only 2 in the second half, and none on target, so Alisson didn't have to make a save, and one of those shots was blocked as well and one off target. So Liverpool started to recover the ball higher up the pitch second half as well. We didn't actually have quite as much possession as the first half, which I found was quite interesting, but they definitely struggled to get into our area.
It's goal kicks, though.
Yeah. But it was one of them where, very similar to the Huddersfield game last season, I think, wasn't it? Now, all right, you didn't get the 3 second half goals like that Huddersfield game, but when you just sort of batting a team aside, and it's just like, yeah, we know what you're gonna do now. We know what you're about here, and we're just gonna do this. And actually, I felt like the last 10 minutes when we went to a 4-3-3, we looked really good again.
Yeah.
And what was interesting about that, Paul, was that was when James Milner came on. And we've been talking, haven't we, all week about, does Milner suit a 4-2-3-1? Can you get him into that side? But when he came on, we shifted to a 4-2-3. And what was also interesting, Fabinho played the 8 and Hendo the 6.
Yeah.
And then Mo Salah got a couple of opportunities between the 87th and the 92nd minute where he was running down that right-hand side, and he looked a little bit more Mo Salah. Yeah. Because he didn't have that fella always on his back. The centre-backs were marking him so closely. When he went out to that right-hand side for the last 10 minutes, he had that little bit of breathing room, and he was able to run with the ball at his feet and put them under the cosh a little bit more.
It's those things, seeing Salah on the wing, it's where he's the most exciting. Now, because we talked about it in the final word, and I said when he plays centre forward, he's a bit more Torres-esque. And that sound like we buzzed off Torres, but the problem is we'd not seen Torres in a more expansive role before, and not because he couldn't have played it, of course, but Mo Salah it feels like as a centre forward, he'll probably be fine. We could probably play all season with Mo Salah centre forward, and might score 1 and 2, and he might score better than 1 and 2, but he won't get bums off seats in quite the same way as he does on the wing. And this for me boils down to our overriding problem with this season is that what's more important? Are you excited by how Liverpool play, or are you pleased that we're winning football matches?
The difficulty with this for me is I get enjoyment out of the ride.
Yeah.
But this feels like you're only going to get enjoyment out of this season if you put a trophy on the end of it. Yeah. Because it's not as good footy to watch as last season. Yeah. I don't think that's actually the case.
I
say that with tongue in cheek.
No, of course.
Bit,
but I don't think
you're
miles off in that regard, because we've grown used to the best we ever have. The best we've experienced in the league is glorious failure. You know what I mean? Like where we've gone swashbuckling. We haven't been able to construct a complete side ever, with the exception of maybe 08-09, but even that was quite swashbuckling, and that was quite, at those moments of times, and we did fall
People
a little bit short.
think of that side as being just ultra sort of negative. There was games where we slotted Man United 4 past them, 4 past Real Madrid in the same week. We used to do that fairly consistently that season.
Well, that was the thing we did, was that, I used to love those Rafa performances where you turn up at Anfield and you'd win 2 or 3-0 without breaking a sweat whatsoever. But yeah, that was probably the best constructed side, which is, I think, is the closest to what we've got here. Everyone goes on about 13-14, but that was what it was. That was an exercise in glorious failure. It was a season of brinksmanship. It was a season of living on the edge and flying by the seat of your pants, and insert all of the cliches you want. We don't really know what it looks like to solidly construct a great season, because look, again, it's something we mentioned. It's been doing the rounds on Twitter. This is our best ever start. This is our best ever 12-game start to a Premier League season ever, and we're not happy with it.
Do you remember when Man United were winning sides with crap teams, winning titles with crap teams, and how the fuck are they league champions? Yeah. They just went about the business and got 3 points every game. Yeah. And it kind of, teams are now starting to look at us. Start the season, you're right, Liverpool and City are going to be pushing each other. Now everyone's going, Liverpool aren't that good. Well, this Liverpool side that aren't that good, a second in the league, 2 points off top spot without being beaten so far. So it kind of reminds me of what we used to say about them teams.
Except
we're better.
Yeah, the analogy I used this week, I can't remember where we were talking about it, and how, in fact, we were talking about Sadio Mane with this, weren't we? And how talent is a circle, and on for like 75 degrees of the circle or 80 degrees of the circle is just fine. You're fine at football, and then there's like a 10 degree at one end where you're absolutely unbelievably world class, but as it wraps round to the other end, it's 10% of being the absolute worst at football. And I feel like we're kind of hovering around that we're absolutely fine, but no one knows whether we're on the fine side of going towards world class or we're on the fine side of absolute disaster, because that is so finely poised that if Liverpool concede 2 goals, the two good chances we give up against Fulham, or the linesman gets the offside decision wrong, then we're tipping into Liverpool are a bit shit territory, because we've just gotten battered in Belgrade, and all of a sudden the worst team in the Premier League is a goal up against you at Anfield. But we're kind of clinging on this way. Everyone, I think, refers to last season so much, is because that's our lifeline. That we can do it. We can do this dead attack and stuff. And if we feel like we can see more of that, it goes towards the world class, and if we can add that goal stuff. But at the moment, we're ticking over. We found we shouldn't be complaining about where it is, but it does feel very much like... it doesn't necessarily feel like this, I should say, but I can see how it feels like this to some people, that we're only ever a bad... like a fluky goal conceded and the whole house of cards could come down, the same way as we're like 2 goals in the first 20 minutes of a game away from beating someone 7-0 and striding on. Yeah. Xherdan Shaqiri, I want to talk about him because he's been doing this all summer, and it came to a little bit of a head, I think, at the weekend. He's fast becoming people's favourite Liverpool player, and Joe Gomez, I think, is running him very, very close in that regard, and obviously Virgil, etc., etc. Yeah, we've got a lot of great players and a lot of players that we love, but I've noticed this thing: people really like Andy Robertson, and people are so impressed with Joe Gomez, but I think people are ready to love Xherdan Shaqiri because he's that people naturally have more of an affinity with the guys who do the special things on the pitch. And the lad I was next to at the match, and he's like, God, I love Shaq, and I was like, I'd never thought, don't think to verbalise that stuff, but I see it in the comments, I see it everywhere, and I think that he gets subbed off the pitch and he gets a standing ovation from the Anfield crowd, and yeah, you can see he's on the fast track to being, at the bare minimum, a massive cult hero at Liverpool.
Well, and rightfully so as well, Paul, because he comes on and he affects the game. He starts the game and he gets a goal or an assist. He's got that link-up play with Mo Salah that we're looking for, and it's almost the underdog side of things that we like as Liverpool fans. He's too small to be a footballer, and he wasn't good enough at Bayern Munich, and he doesn't work hard enough at Stoke, and then all of a sudden you come in and you're like, nah, mate, you're all wrong here. We've got a pretty talented lad there who is hungry for success with us, and the fact is, he's kind of forced his way into this side now, and it doesn't look like he's going to let go. He's got little man syndrome. Yeah. That's what it comes down to, and I love that.
Yeah. You stop it. I agree with that, and where it's most pleasing for Shaqiri is, look, last season we brought in Salah, and we talk about this all the time. We thought he was going to be an understudy to Mane, but it turned out we were just going to have a winger on either on either flank. We were still constructing our attack when Salah came in. It's constructed. Shaqiri, we've brought this lad in for 12 million quid from Stoke, and he's come to a team that made the European Cup final last season. That is massive credit for him, because this is where Liverpool tend to fall down whenever we have those glorious failure seasons. Where do you go from there? So Liverpool finished second in 2008, 2009. What do? Well, we have the massive falling out with Xabi Alonso. We try for Gareth Barry, and we end up with Robbie Keane, and it's just not right, because to go and improve upon what you've already got normally costs. That's why Alisson cost £60 million. That's why Van Dijk cost £75 million. But for Shaqiri to come in, even if he only plays every other game for us at this point, which is what he kind of what he's doing, it's still a pretty impressive feat so far to be getting that much time. And as we said, it feels almost like we are changing the formation, and we're almost sacrificing Firmino to get the best out of Shaqiri at the moment.
Yeah, and do you know what? Before I talk about Shaqiri a little bit, I want to circle back to something about the Mo Salah stuff playing in the 9, actually. Because I was doing the Stats and Tactics show, and obviously I'd said to you on the Final Word show yesterday, and probably after the game maybe as well, that I didn't really think that that Salah suited that number 9. You mentioned Fernando Torres there. I see the similarities that you're talking about. I actually think he plays it very like Jamie Vardy, which is a weird comparison. And maybe I don't watch enough of Leicester. Jamie Vardy against us. You know what I mean? Yeah. To draw those comparisons. But I think I have a decent enough idea of what Vardy does. It's a completely different way of playing the 9 to Roberto Firmino. And I think I was probably a little bit disrespectful to Mo until I watched the game back, and I watched every touch that he had during the game. And I'd said he wasn't really very good at holding the ball up. Can I just take that back right now? Yeah. Because I watched it all back, and he was absolutely superb at it. Yeah. And he may not excite me in quite the same way, but he can certainly play that number 9, and he's very, very good at it. And what he does is he always gets into the right position in the box. And there was a time when, do you remember that ball Fabinho sent over to Trent Alexander-Arnold? Mm-hmm. If Trent didn't shoot and he just squared the ball, Mo Salah gets an absolute tapping. And there was 3 or 4 of them during the game where if someone had just passed to him, he scores a dead easy goal. Yeah. And the team are still getting used to that, I think. And when they realise that actually he's going to be on the end of pretty much every low hit cross in the box, it's going to be dead easy for us to score loads of goals. And Roberto Firmino made 5 key passes during that game as well from that number 10 position, and that's not something that a player does very often. Mm-hmm. You know, I can't remember this season actually seeing a Liverpool player make 5 key passes during a game, so that does kind of suit him. At the same time, I'm interested to see how good we can get in this formation, because again, I prefer Salah. I agree with you. I 100% agree with. He's just dead. He's loads more exciting on the right hand side, but we might get to the level of last season goal return with him up top too.
Do you know why it is? It's because we've seen lots of world class centre forwards, so there's nothing. I mean, it's exciting, it is, but he's performing a role that we've seen. That's why I make the Torres comparisons. A lad who is good, decent at holding it up,
gets him
but he's got the pace to get him behind, even when you don't give him loads of space to get him behind.
But you know, the really impressive stuff that he did was his pressing, and he doesn't press in the same way as Roberto Firmino, but he limited their centre halves to 3 passes between each other. One of them passed to one once, and the other centre back passed to his buddy twice, or something like that during the game. And I'm thinking, this is what you do. You cut the pitch in half and you make them play one way. And Mo Salah was superb at it. Our centre halves passed the ball to each other like 20 something times. They passed the ball to each other 3 times during the football. On the pass map, the line didn't even show up between them. They just weren't passing to each other, and that's Mo doing that. Yeah. And he was constantly harrying their back line and just not giving them a second to breathe.
The thing is where it's hard to recognise it is because he looked the most visually exciting when he drifted out right, and he got to explode. And that's the thing. World-class wingers are so few and far between, that he looks so much a better player. He looks a better player out wide because he's so fast, and you get to see that. You get to see that pace in all its glory. Whereas we're lucky that he's actually got both types of pace. He's quick over 5 yards and he's quick over 100 as well. You know, whatever. You know, he's fast over long distances. He's fast over short distances. You know, you think about players we've had, like Xherdan was faster over longer distances.
He just speed up and keep going.
Torres was faster over shorter. Owen was faster over shorter distances. That kind of stuff. It was there. It was the acceleration, the naught to gone, basically the stuff. So it's not as like breathtaking watching Mo do that, but at the minute he's got the eye for goal. He's got the instinct to get himself in and around there. And you might be able to get, 50 top level Mo performances a season at centre forward, whereas you're going to have to be, you might have to play more 60 minutes than that when he's playing on the wing, because he's doing far more motoring, far more of the really hard running. So it is interesting. It's fascinating stuff. Is that stuff you've done that on Stats and Tactics?
Yeah, on the Stats and Tactics. So we looked at how he plays the 9 really in depth, and it was really, really interesting to just notice the differences to what Firmino does, but how the team benefited from that. So even just another example, there was always 2 men dead close to him. Sometimes it was 3 and 4 men. And what that did is he was able to get the ball out to our lads who were there for in space. Yeah. And we didn't see that type of 9 play from Roberto Firmino. But equally, he's on the edge of the 18-yard line sometimes asking for the ball over the top, and we're giving it to him.
Yeah, I think the one thing we need, the little tweak to what we do, and because for me Shaqiri is very Coutinho-esque in that I think his best work is done outside the box, and he thinks his best work is done outside the box. What was the thing that Klopp modified of Coutinho's game that made him go up a level?
Stop shooting from outside the box.
Stop shooting from outside the box, but also that like give and go and charge into the 18-yard box. And he went up a level because he started breaking inside the 18 and just shoot from just inside the box instead. But also, I think making a little change back in Mane, because he looks most dangerous when he hits the byline, when he goes outside. Belgrade, the first half, the only good moments for me that really came from was in that game when Mane took his man on and went past him. When he does that, he's unstoppable. When he gets in full flow, he's so much better than most people he come up against. And that's the one slight thing that we're lacking. And when I've mentioned this in the past, I think we're just a little, maybe a touch too stock at the moment. We're playing, it's like, the lads all know how to play the formation, but they're not 100% versed in it. Yeah, it's like if you throw any lads into a 4-4-2, they know instinctively where to be, but you have to really work at something to be very good at it. And I just think that like just having that one runner for him to give us that extra option. I referenced like if it was Xherdan Torres, it's Torres holds it up, Xherdan bombs in beyond him. We either need Firmino to do that, or we need Shaqiri to make those runs, or we need Mane to make those runs. So you give defenders another thing to worry about. Is Mo going to turn it and go himself? Is he going to drop it short to Firmino who plays the pass? Is he going to play it, or is he going to look for a little ball around the corner as well?
Again, he did all of those things, and the other thing that he did is because he's constantly running in behind, when he does that, someone just needs to follow 5 yards behind him. Frank Lampard, was brilliant at finding that 5 yards of space. He's pushing all 4 lads back with a forwards run. We need to get someone in just behind him. Like Mane did that a couple of times, so we might see more of that.
I wonder if there's like a tactical thing where if we start becomes our regular formation, whereas it'll change the tactical approach of opponents in so much as they're probably all still training for Firmino. They're still prepared for Roberto Firmino. So maybe they're the way they're not. If Mo Salah's there, you might find the opposition defenders start to sit a little bit deeper to make deeper than they naturally would if it was Firmino, because they know Firmino's going to look to pull them out anyway. So you just go, now it's Salah, we'll just sit deep, and that might actually free Firmino up a little bit more to be the guy who does take pot shots from distance and be the guy who does get a few more away. But obviously we'll see as the season progresses. We're going to talk Buvac after the break. But before then, obviously Chris has got the Stats and Tactics show, which we've referenced. Go and watch and listen to that. But the final word on Monday, we don't often plug this on this podcast. Chris, in amazing fashion, went to bat for Trent Alexander-Arnold in a big way on the show. Get involved with this.
It was massively important that Jurgen Klopp put him back into the side after hooking him against Xherdan. I thought that would have given him a little bit of confidence and stuff. It was great to see him talking with Andy Robertson and laughing and joking about their stuff, their assist, competition throughout the season and stuff. But both of them get assists yesterday. Yeah. Both of them create 2 chances. Both of them create 1 big chance. Trent has more defensive stuff to do than Robbo. I think Trent had 2 tackles, 2 interceptions, 2 clearances, and won 4 of his 8 duels, where I think Robbo was like 1 clearance, 3 interceptions, 1 of 2 duels. Robertson was the unanimous man of the match. Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, I don't think there was too much difference between the pair, to be honest. And we actually attacked more down the right-hand side than the left yesterday. 40% down the right-hand side as opposed to 36 down the left or something. So, again, I come back to what I mentioned before. I do think it's different for Trent this year. I think he has to work harder to find a pass. Yeah. I don't think his passing probably wasn't as good as it could have been. I think he completed 2 of 8 crosses. That's about league-wide average for a cross anyway, about 1 in 4, something like that. The best are probably 1 in 3. Good, solid performance, but not world-class. Yeah, I mean, we've got 2 lads in the top 10 minutes for under-21s in the league, in Joe Gomez and Trent Alexander-Arnold this season. None of the other top 6 sides have 2 lads under 21 and haven't playing that many minutes. We're looking solid. We've got a boss defence with 2 under 21-year-olds in there. We've conceded 5 goals and Trent and Robbo both get an assist on the day. Yeah, you make your own minds up.
Yes, brilliant, fantastic. The final word goes out after every single Liverpool game, normally the Monday for the weekend games, where we had a little bit of time to consider it, because it was interesting particularly this weekend, Chris, because you and I did the instant match reaction. We actually had quite different views, and it was funny how we both kind of went other ways on stuff when we got round to the final word. Because what I like about the instant match is we do our individual reactions, then it's nice to have a little bit of a conversation, and then it's cool to then go back, soak up the reaction online, soak up the reaction of the players, of the manager, and I say go back and challenge a few of the assumptions that maybe you had with the inside the ground. So yeah, the final word show very, 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 and it was actually a really good show.
Yeah, it was
more so than normal, in fact, this week. Chris, we're getting asked this question all the time, and this week it comes from Ryan O'Donnell. He says, a lot has been made recently of us lacking Buvac, the brain, as a reason for our, in inverted commas, poor results and altered playing style. How much value do you put into that reasoning? Do you envisage Buvac returning at some point? These spats have happened between Klopp and himself many times before, just not this drawn out, and he is still listed as an LFC employee. Or do you think the change in our form is more due to the lack of rapid connections in midfield and attack? The Ox, and to an extent Chan provided last year with the powerful forward runs and link-up, which we're currently lacking to the same extent as last year. Right, there's a lot to get through there. I know you did a bit of a rant on this through the week, and my immediate response to all of this, I've loads of people have asked me this, whether it's been on my channel or on the Redmen channel or on Twitter, and it's the phrasing of it is what gets me. Is that it's like it's Buvac. It is Buvac. This is the reason why Liverpool are not clicking, is because we've lost Buvac. Why is this not discussion? Blah, 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 blah. And my immediate response to all of these people is, and I'm glad Ryan's picked this up, is we also lost Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain at the same time that Buvac left, more or less. And I think that I have to feel and hope that I think it's coincidence. In some regard, and I also think what I'm kind of driving is I think too much is being made of Buvac leaving. What about yourself?
Yeah, I think exactly the same, to be honest. I mean, it comes down to the results, and the results are better this season than last season in the Premier League, certainly. So for me, we're not worse.
Yeah,
we're not attacking as well, and we're not scoring as many goals per game.
How are we? I don't know if it's something you've looked at or not. How are we in terms of chance creation this season?
Chance creation, couldn't tell you. Shots per game last season was 16.45 on average across the Premier League all year. Shots now is 14.92, so 1.5 shots less a game. Mm-hmm. We're recovering the ball 6 times less a game. And I wondered if that was down to us having more possession. we're actually having less possession than last year, and that really surprised me. We had like 57% possession in the Premier League last season. We're averaging 54 at the moment. But what I find interesting is our XG is actually better this season.
Well, that's
chance creation, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's getting into good areas. And I get, sorry to keep referencing this show, but the stats and tactics show most weeks I look at shot quality and analyse where Liverpool are taking their shots from, because there was an article on StatsBomb a few years ago that looked at where Lionel Messi took his shots from, and they analysed it and they look at it from an XG point of view, and essentially he takes 90% of his shots inside the area. You know why? Because it's easier to score from inside the area than outside the area, Paul.
Yeah.
And the shots that he took from outside the area were all free kicks.
Yeah.
Like, he very, very rarely shoots from outside the area over the course of a season, because it's just that difficult to score from. And Liverpool do exactly the same. Liverpool work their way and take shots inside the sticks as well, not just inside the area.
Yeah.
They work it centrally to a good area of the field, and I've shown this over the course of maybe the back end of last season on the show and this season. That's what Liverpool are doing really well. So that's why our XG's up. It's just up over 2 goals a game, 2.05, whereas last season it was just under 2 goals, 1.92 it was last season, something like that. So from a chance creation point of view, if you like the XG stuff, we're doing much better. We're covering the ball a little bit less. I don't think we're pressing as high as we used to or as often. But I do feel that's mainly down to making sure that the lads after the World Cup can go for a 38-game Premier League season.
Yeah, and this is the thing. It feels keep coming back to it, and it's going to be the until Liverpool getting snot a few teams back to back. I think it's going to be the overriding thing. But I can't get on board with this. It's a bad thing. I get it. Buvac has been with Klopp a long time. Going back to Mainz, he's been a trusted lieutenant, and there's really interesting points about him. How I think Klopp, but to be fair, I think Klopp set us up for this, because we all heard the stories about how highly regarded him, how he sold him. Well, exactly, and how he sold him to Liverpool as being as important to the whole enterprise as he is. And we've bought into that, and it's hard to buy into that, and then all of a sudden be told that he's not needed and he's not important.
No one's ever said he's not needed or not important. He just said that he's not there.
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And no one's saying that he's not important, but don't think that Klopp hasn't learned everything that Buvac knows in 17 years working together, because yes, he might not. Buvac might be a better coach than Jurgen Klopp. We don't know. But Klopp really likes the other people that he's got in his team as well. He was very, very happy to get that lad's name back from, was it any...
Pep Linders.
Pep Linders. Very happy to get Pep Linders back, wasn't he? We saw the quotes of when he left and how important he was to him. But everyone is talking from this Buvac thing with blinkers on, to be honest with you, Paul, because everyone's talking about the attack. Are we just going to say that Virgil van Dijk's the reason that the defence is better? Is that the only reason? Because it was Buvac making the defence shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're looking
if we're going to use the logic that the attack's worse because he's not there, you've got to say that the defence is better because he's not there. If you're going to use the specious reasoning behind that, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Blinkers.
Yeah.
So 0.42 a game we're conceding at the moment, and we conceded 1 goal a game last season in the Premier League. That's a big difference, and the difference in actual goals scored and stuff isn't as big as that.
Yeah, no, I that's the thing for me, and
the points are better.
I think this is down to the midfield. I think we have looked to revamp our midfield this season. That was clearly that's where the money went, and I know we spent Naby was technically bought the season before or whatever, but we've gone out and bought close to £100 million worth of midfielders in the summer. If all the Fekir stuff we were looking to spend well in excess of 100 million, getting closer to 120, 30, 40, 50 million pounds. So it's clearly been identified as an area where Liverpool majorly needed to improve. And the comment, we lost Phil Coutinho last season, and again, it's remembered him being more midfield than he was. He wasn't, he predominantly still played left wing for us. But Emre Can's a big thing. Emre Can's a miss. There's a lad who understood how he played. There's a lad who could play in the 6 for us, or he could play he scored an overhead kick against Watford for us, for God's sake. You know what I mean? Until Fabinho does that, he can't do it. It's not in his locker, and it's something we've lost from our team. I'm not saying you could rely on a goal of the season from your midfielder, but Emre Can did that. That is a thing that Liverpool don't have in the midfield anymore. And I just think we are still still growing into this season.
Klopp doesn't like to make loads of signings. I think that's been evidence throughout his career. He makes signings when he needs to make signings. Yeah. Klopp wants to win the Premier League with Liverpool. That's why Klopp made such big business, didn't he? You know, and you're integrating Alisson, you're integrating Keita, you're integrating Fabinho, and now you're integrating Shaqiri, and you're changing your front line. Is it really any surprise that we're not quite hitting the heights?
Yeah. That's right, isn't it? And there's also that thing of, and obviously the rotation of formation thing's a big deal in this, and we're still not sure who best plays where, because at the minute we by 4-2-3-1, and my thought is, we said it before, James Milner doesn't fit in that. Does Naby Keita fit in a 4-2-3-1? Well, Fabinho does, but does he fit in a 4-3-3? And then who's the Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain replacement? Shaqiri doesn't fit in a 4-3-3 in the midfield, but he does fit in a 4-2-3-1. We're still finding our way out through this, and I think when the midfield clicks, I think all of this is the Buvac thing to me is like the FSG thing from a year ago and the years prior to that. It's when things aren't 100% right, and you've got this inkling that things aren't right, you start to look for big reasoning behind it, whereas I think sometimes it's a little bit more simple than that. Mm-hmm. It's the first half of a season. Man City are changing all expectations. You're not meant to be as good as Man City are in the first half of a season. It's freakish. Will they be able to maintain it for a full season? Probably, because they're that good. But who knows? It's likely no, because it's a very difficult thing to do. There's just so many small mitigating things that I don't think in and of themselves are the 100% reason. But when they start to club together, you start to realise it forms a larger picture, and they're not, and that's really frustrating as a fan, because it would be lovely if it was Buvac, because you'd just be like, well, there's the answer to your problem. It gives me something to be angry about, but it also gives me something here's a fixed solution to it. Well, there's no solution but playing football matches and getting people integrated.
My rant was about, like, the other day was about, so what if it is? He's not here.
Yeah.
There's no other Buvac.
Yeah.
Great, you've identified the problem. Now what?
Yeah. What do we do?
You still got to do what you need to do on the football field.
Do you protest? Because this is exactly.
It's fucking stupid, mate.
Yeah, it's. But it'd be like, it's like me and you have a fucking massive falling out and can't work together anymore, and one of us is forced to carry on, and we have to get someone else in. Someone go, no, you need to get them back in. It's like, it won't. No,
it's not happening.
Well, no, exactly. It's like Klopp is the guy, is the main man. This is the thing we do.
Are we sacking Klopp to hire Buvac? Is that the only answer?
Exactly. It's like,
it's just
what do you want people? What do people want?
It's fucking stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
And the thing is, I actually disagree with it being Buvac anyway.
Yeah.
But even if I agreed with it, and what?
Yeah.
It still doesn't fucking change anything.
Yeah.
He's not here.
Yeah.
You have to find another way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's funny. But yeah, for me, I think what you said, I think we're better this season. So that should be used instead of it's cry-arsing. It's fucking cry-arsing, Chris. Like, it's like saying at the moment, it's like complaining that the tape deck in your Ferrari doesn't work at the moment. That's kind of what I'm at with it. Like, we have to have something to moan about, and something that's not right, and something to pick at. And it's because people's lives are so filled with Liverpool, and you know, when in the years gone by, you've got so many discussion points. We said this. We actually got a great discussion out of the Fulham game ultimately, and because there were some really interesting points that once we watched it back. But I said to you in the build to it when we were watching the first half back, and I was like, this feels like the kind of game that I wouldn't normally talk about. If I didn't have to talk about it, I wouldn't talk about it. I'd just get my head down for a couple of weeks and then be ready for the next game. And I think there's a lot of Liverpool. People need a lot of Liverpool conversation in their lives, and it's been filled with misery for so long that without those things to be miserable about, how are you going to fill when you're on the bog in work because you hate your job and you're having a fucking shit that you don't really need? What are you going to do to occupy yourself? You've been fucking moaning about Liverpool
how many
for the last
people
5
actually
years.
are doing that right now while you're listening to us?
Hi. Make sure you wipe and wash your hands. and stop watching us while you're having a shit. It's weird. But this is the point, you know what I mean? I think people have a gaping hole in their lives that was normally filled with just having lots of things to complain about with Liverpool.
We all sort of crave drama, and when there isn't any drama, we don't know what to do.
No, people who do genuinely crave drama create drama. People do it. I've seen it in all walks. This is not a football thing. This is a life thing. People always say, "Why does drama always find?" Drama doesn't always find you. You find drama. You fucking bellend. Just fucking, honestly, like,
who were you thinking about when you said that?
I worked in pubs, mate. I just live with people who fucking, self-destructive people always seem to think that the drama follows them, whereas, yeah, it's not. It's you. It is you. So yeah, it's people only have themselves to blame. No, I am joking to some extent. That, you know, I get it. It's easy to be fearful, and as I said, that circle exists. That exists, and until Liverpool do properly kick into high gear on a consistent basis, there's nothing wrong to have a steady level of, skepticism, because we've had our hearts broken so many times, and there'll be people who are unwilling to commit to having their heart broken again, to buying in, and ultimately there's people who are just like that. And it's like, there's a great line, and I didn't realise this, and it's a good way to live your life. It was about Winnie the Pooh.
Okay.
And how Eeyore is just the most miserable thing in their world, and yet they still choose to have him round because they have to accept him, because that's just what Eeyore is. Now, I would caveat that with, he's not Winnie the Pooh's best mate.
No, he's not.
Winnie the Pooh doesn't choose to be around Eeyore all the time. There are selective times, and they let him live off in his own little wood or whatever. But, you know, fair play. If people are struggling with it, that's fine, and, you know, because we all deal with our stresses in different ways. But at the moment, what I always say, and I normally have to save this for when people are ready to sack managers and stuff, is that when the optimistic people's heads go, that's when you want to be concerned about it. But at the minute, this is our best start to a Premier League season ever.
You feel like you're just saying the same thing over and over.
Honestly,
but honestly, let the words sink in.
Yeah, honestly, it's fine. And I trust that most people who watch us and then listen to our stuff share a similar mentality, because I'm sure there's plenty of other avenues for people who are out there who are just miserable cry asses, and, you know, we can go listen to them. They're fine. But yeah, look, we're fine. We're happy. All is good. And the content is great on the redmentv.com.
That's a cracking question.
It was a brilliant question. Thank you very much, Ryan O'Donnell. A couple of quick ones to get through before we wrap up. Aaron Ray says, congrats on the win. Thanks, Aaron. My question is, if you could swap any 3 Premier League teams for any 3 European teams, who would you pick and why?
United, City, Chelsea. Swap with La Liga 2's Zaragoza, Tenerife and Oviedo.
Absolutely spot on. Yeah, take out really shit organised teams in the Premier League that end up with British managers who become turgid and horrible. Mercy, most of them got relegated, so it's not as much of an issue this season. And bring in Getafe and bring in all that dross from La Liga.
I went La Liga too.
Yeah, exactly.
I was not even going that.
Yeah.
I want them a year there to get up, and I don't know how many people get promoted. Hopefully, just 2. So one of them has to languish there for another season. Hopefully United.
Yeah.
And then when they get into there, finally, they've got Barcelona and Real Madrid to play, and they are just too good, and they nick all their players, because they are now the teams that they pick their players from.
I would, maybe it is a thing, because let's do it from a double-edged perspective, swap like City out with Hoffenheim, for example. Or
no, I thought about this, and the reason you don't is because you want to win the European Cup as well. And so Barcelona, Real Madrid, City, United, Chelsea makes that league like the Premier League now, where you got 5 plus Atletico, 6 amazing teams in one league that just have to fight so hard for their league title that they take the eye off the European prize. And then Liverpool stroll in as Premier League and European Cup winners. And you know what? We do the fucking quadruple.
Absolutely. What about this then? Because I agree, that's a great point. Put 2 in the Bundesliga. So put like United and City in the Bundesliga, so you've got 3 plus Dortmund competing for the Bundesliga title. You've already got Barca, Real and Atletico competing in there, so you put 1 more in there, so you put Chelsea, say, in there, and you end up with 2 ridiculously competitive leagues.
the reason I wouldn't do that is Bayern don't win the Champions League anyway, so it doesn't seem to matter to them.
Yeah, fair enough. Brilliant. Okay, thanks for that, Aaron. Leave your
what were
suggestions
yours?
in the comments below. That's what I do. I put 2 in the Bundesliga, so you're making, because the minute there's no challenge in that league, so you fucking Bayern Munich, because fuck Bayern Munich, and you're making it so also, but they're also so dominant in that league that Man City could go into that and would struggle because they've got another super team in that league as well, and then you throw United in just so they come to cut each other's throats, and again put Chelsea in. Put Chelsea in there for the same thing. Not
replace them with dross.
Just none of them are guaranteed anything regular, and they've all got that consistent fight on a regular basis. Matthew Welch, should Liverpool still go for Nabil Fekir?
If his knee's fine.
If his knee is fine. If Liverpool have made peace with the fact that that's what he is, absolutely. Go and get Nabil Fekir. I'm all in on that. I said this on some show this week. Was it the final word? I think it's telling that we're lacking one more player for the front three, because I think at the minute we're either, if we play 4-3-3, we haven't got an Oxlade-Chamberlain replacement, and if we're playing 4-2-3-1, we haven't got another guy who can play on the left hand side. Because as we said, you can play Salah or Shaqiri on the right, you can play Sturridge, Firmino, or Salah up front. At the minute, it's Mane or Firmino or Lallana. There's just too much of a drop off there, and a Fekir to put in the rotation would have made a massive difference for us. Thanks for the question. Roscoe, our good friend at Bailey Shaw, sent this in, and in memoriam of the great Stan Lee, what's your top 3 favourite Marvel movies? Yeah, another thing, we were on the way to the awards and seeing that we were at the awards and it broke that Stan Lee died. I'm a massive comic fan, and he was 95 years old. The guy is an absolute institution. Either created directly or had a massive creative influence in creating some of the greatest comic book characters of all time. Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four, all the early days, and a massive loss.
Is this why you gave us these bugs for tea? I know this is DC, but...
Well, Chris, there we go. And this, if you want to know the difference right there, no.
That was just dumb luck that you gave yourself a Marvel bug today.
It was dumb luck. But yeah, telling that you had to put more thought into this question because of the you did know the Batman. I've taught you well over the years.
Batman stuff I knew. I probably could have worked out Justice League, because I think Batman's in Justice League.
Yeah.
Superman I know is DC. I don't know if I know any of the others.
Green Lantern.
Not Marvel.
Good. Green Arrow.
Well, now I want to say Marvel.
No, well. Arrow.
Isn't that the same thing?
It's the same character, yeah.
Well, is Green Arrow then DC and Green Lantern DC?
Uh-huh.
That feels a bit lazy. Why did they both go with green? Why didn't you do like the purple Arrow?
Well, yeah, just big fan of green. Maybe printing costs back in the 30s. Top 3 favourite Marvel movies.
In no particular order, Guardian of the Galaxy.
Fucking Guardians of the Galaxy, shit. Carry on.
Iron Man. And Avengers or Black Panther.
Okay. I had Iron Man, Winter Soldier, Homecoming, and you've said Guardians of the Galaxy, so I'm going to jettison Iron Man for Guardians of the Galaxy. It's impossible. I love so many Marvel films. It's very, very difficult. Let us know your top 3 Marvel movies in the comments. Well, we're going to be doing the subscriber.
There's going to be so many people go, which Guardians? Yeah. Which Avengers film?
The first Guardians of the Galaxy. The second's good.
The second is good.
Yeah, it's just not.
But it's the first.
The first is a perfect movie.
Soundtrack.
My word indeed. We're going to be doing the bonus Q&A for the subscribers of the redmentv.com. So if you enjoy this podcast and you just think, I don't want it to end, I want more of Paul and Chris chatting biff about random stuff and football. We've got a bunch of questions coming up on that, including rock, paper, scissors choices.
Is this you?
What? Paul James. Yeah. What football rule would we change? Our favourite YouTubers' thoughts on the European Super League. How do we deal with Liverpool losses? Picking between Liverpool. One of those standard what to do for Liverpool winning a league conversations. How would Redmen TV would take over the Boot Room Sports Cafe at Anfield, and what we would do to Graham Souness with a particular item from our fridge. Go over to redmentv.com. Sign up. You get a free month to try and have a little look around. Of course, there's a back catalogue, there's the stats and tactics that we've covered there, there's the Final Word show, there's the Reds News Roundup show, the Liverpool Women's podcast, there's interviews with Liverpool players and managers past and present on there as well. It's an absolute belter. It's £5 a month normally, but as I say, go and have a look around and see how you're getting on. And you know what, if you like it, maybe speak to Father Christmas and say, can I have a subscription for Crimbo? I'm sure
it's mad, isn't it? We say this all the time.
But more, I always speak to someone who actually has money.
We talk about it's £5 a month. We probably put out around about a good between 6 and 10 hours of content on the website every single week.
Yeah.
For essentially £1.25.
I think about
this. You know what I mean?
I think about this when I think about
like,
people who work on TV channels. And there's, you know, the big presenters, and they flit around, they do lots of other bits and pieces, but there can't be too many individual institutions per body, per man hour. The amount of content that we put out on that website, I think it's good value, and please do go and have a check out. And if you enjoy it, please let other people know how much you enjoy it, because you know, recommendations are always good. Thanks everyone for watching and for listening as well. Yeah, see you over on the redmentv.com. Walk on.